Dunkin' Donuts will have to pay a $145,000 settlement for 1,200 child labor law violations. Let me just repeat that again. 1,200 child labor law violations in Massachusetts specifically, and this is according to an announcement that was recently made by the state's attorney general. Now, what were the violations? What were they up to? Well, according to the press release, violations included failing to obtain a work permit for minor workers, failing to supervise minors past 8 p.m., employing a 16 or 17-year-old to work before 6 a.m. or after 10 p.m., employing a minor under the age of 18 for more than 9 hours in a single workday, and employing a minor under 16 before 6:30 a.m. or after 7 p.m., and for more than 8 hours in a single workday. You see, children, minors, still have to do this thing called go to school. And so Massachusetts adds on to the current federal child labor laws to make them a little more robust in their state. And clearly, as you can tell, based on the settlement, Dunkin' Donuts had violated those state regulations. So under Massachusetts state law, minors may not work more than 9 hours per day, or 48 hours per week. Children ages 14 and 15 may not work later than 7 p.m. and children ages 16 and 17 can't work later than 10 p.m. on school nights or later than midnight on non-school nights. Now, the investigation revealed more than 1,200 violations involving more than 50 employees across 14 stores in the last year and a half. In fact, this investigation ended up getting launched after a minor employee filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office in Massachusetts and said that they were working more than 10 hours a day. So that's what sparked the investigation. Luckily, the Attorney General did her job, investigated this, and found, yes, there were violations. This year, other Dunkin' Donuts franchisees in Massachusetts have been issued citations from the AG's office for child labor violations, wage and hour law violations, and not allowing employees to earn or use sick leave. And this is an ongoing issue, guys. This isn't a one-time thing. This isn't an isolated event. For instance, in 2020, Chipotle was cited for more than 13,000 violations and was ordered to pay $1.8 million in their settlement. In states with Republican legislatures, there are currently efforts to even further weaken child labor laws if they haven't done so already. So just to give you an example of something that was done in 2011, probably got no attention. In 2011, Wisconsin eliminated limits on the number of hours and days that minors aged 16 to 17 could work, and even replaced the phrase child labor with a nice euphemism, employment of minors, in 2017. I thought it was just the left that was interested in sanitizing things and using euphemisms. So it looks like the right wing engages in that quite a bit themselves. Now, the most recent changes have attracted support from a number of powerful service industry lobbies, of course, such as the Wisconsin Restaurant Association, who say it will help to solve businesses' staffing issues and teach teenagers a healthy work ethic. And final thing I'll say, Cenk, I'll give you the numbers in a little bit, but there's an ever-growing percentage of high school students who drop out of high school to enter the workforce because their families need the income, meaning their parents need the income. In some cases, the minimum wages that they're earning accounts for as much as a quarter of the annual income in that household. It's insane.
Yeah, so first let me tell you what this isn't, and then I'll tell you what this is. So what it isn't is 1955. So what the Republicans do every time when they talk about issues like this is, oh, look, we're just bringing in Johnny and Sally to work in the summer and teach them the work ethic. And they're gonna work with their mom and dad, and they're gonna be busboys at their local diner that the mom and dad are running. And hey, that's great, and they're gonna get that experience that they need, etc. No, that's just mythology, man. And what this isn't is 16, 17-year-olds working a summer job under the normal rules. They're violating the normal rules here, the employers, right? What this is companies going, I pay the kids a lot less, they got no experience, and if I have them work before 6 in the morning, after 10 o'clock at night. I have them work more and more hours, and I replace my actual workers with kids who are desperate for money, either for themselves or to help with the family. Well, I drive the kids into the mines, I make more money. I keep my costs low, and then I'll trick the American people with this mom and pop BS that we throw out there, and the Republicans will sell it, Democrats won't do anything, and we'll have corporate rule now extend to 14-year-olds and have them work their ass off, just like we got their dad and their mom to work their ass off.
Right, no, that's exactly right. And what's even scarier is how we already know that a household with adults earning minimum wage, even if they're working full time, they're not bringing in enough money to simply live. You're not making enough money to pay your rent. You're not making enough money to put food on the table for your family. So when families get desperate, they end up relying on their teenage children to bring in income. And so this is a piece that was actually written in 2015. And I would venture to say that the problem that I'm about to describe has only gotten worse. But back in 2015, there was actually a really great piece written in the Washington Post about the ever-growing percentage of high school students who drop out of high school just to work because their families depend on it. So using data from the 2008-2012 American Community Survey, researchers at the Urban Institute found that nearly a third of the 563,000 teenage dropouts left school to work. These 16 to 18-year-olds were disproportionately male and Hispanic and ended their education either at the beginning of high school or nearing the end. Roughly 75% of them are native-born Americans. Now let's get to how much their families rely on them for their income. 6 out of 10 of the teenagers identified in the study earned less than $10,000 a year working in restaurants, on construction sites, cleaning buildings, among other things. A third of the kids contribute more than 20% of the total annual income of their households. A tenth contributed more than 50%, according to this study. Again, it was done by the Urban Institute. I would like to see an updated version of this study because I'm curious. I mean, LAUSD right now is having trouble with enrollment. A bunch of students never came back when they reopened schools. And I'm scared that those students just left school permanently, dropped out to go work.
Yeah, well, obviously, according to the numbers, a lot of them did. And so, look, guys, one more time. Massachusetts is not going after any small business owners. And anytime you hear a Republican or a right-winger say small business, substitute the word giant multinational corporations instead, okay? Or the words. And so in this case, who's Massachusetts going after? Only giant companies, Dunkin' Donuts, Chipotle, Wendy's, etc. They're all using this systematically to make sure their costs are lower. This is only about corporate rule. That's the only thing this is about. And so, by the way, give credit to Democrats in Massachusetts that are actually going after these giant corporations abusing kids.
And give credit to that teenage Dunkin' Donuts worker who had the wherewithal to report how he or she was being treated at Dunkin' Donuts, which sparked the investigation.
100%. And by the way, so then Republicans will say, can you believe what the Democrats are doing to our kids in the schools? They're teaching them that gay people exist. They shouldn't do that at all. They're doing, terrible what they're doing to our kids. Meanwhile, they're like, let's send the kids back into the mines, okay? And make sure they work at 5 in the morning and at 11 at night, okay? And by the way, that's if they didn't get murdered by guns that we love so much in their mass shootings in school. And unsurprisingly, by the way, another poll shows 53% of young people in this country say they don't feel represented by Congress at all.
Because they're not.
Because they're not, of course they're not. The only thing that Congress ever represents, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, good cop, bad cop, is corporate interests, because those are their donors. You think they're listening to 16-year-olds that are barely surviving by working at Wendy's at 5 in the morning? They're not listening to that. So, and 70% of them also say that their generation is underrepresented in Congress. And again, underrepresented undersells it. You have almost no representation. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.